Alright guys, today we have a dance show, and it was a great time to review the new light array we purchased, the PSA 28s from Yorkville. We also have the Synergy 218S from Yorkville, the double 18 subs. I decided not to go with the new subs that go with these. Make another video on that. But today we're reviewing these guys. So these are extremely impressive. Yorkville has, an up and down reputation, and I was looking at buying some higher end stuff, the RCF series line array like these, but then these came out last summer, and we went to shout out Wall Sound and shout out Darren Butt, who did a demo last October, and I got to hear these firsthand. They also had the PSA 26s. I didn't purchase those. Hopefully Yorkville sends me a pair to review, hint hint. Just gonna show you that real quick. Yeah, so far I've had these since December, end of November I got these, and we're now in May 2nd today, and these are freaking awesome. They're dual 8s, dual 1-inch drivers. They are IP65 waterproof, or 66. I'll correct myself. Super easy to use, basic control. Sure, I don't have full control over them like I would with a more advanced system with over Ethernet and all that, but listen, for the price point and for what we do and what they do, like the performance we get out of these and the quality, I'm extremely impressed by Yorkville. So as soon as I heard these, I jumped right on them. They're extremely, when I went to the demo at Wall Sound, they had it flat, no EQ, nothing, and they were just clear right out of the box. Very little EQ to do to them. Can't say enough about them. I freaking love them. They're clear, they're loud, they have very good sounding quality, especially for the price point. These are probably a third of what an RCF kit would cost. The other thing that turned me off about the RCF that I was gonna buy is that right out of the box, they're not weatherproof. You have to buy the little hood that goes over the control, and you have to buy 2 per box. And they're pretty expensive just for a piece of material. And they don't really protect more than direct rain. And I don't like working with the flaps. They're always like bulky and in the way. These just have, PowerCon True 1 connectors. They're waterproof. IP67, 65, I forget. Anyways, don't quote me on it. Waterproof buttons, even little rubber caps for the XLRs. Like, you can't go wrong with that. At the bottom of them, we have 2 cups, a 5-degree angle and a straight 0-degree angle for a speaker stand. And I believe you can put up to 2 of these on one stand. In the PSA 26s, you could put 3, I believe. So again, the RCF doesn't have the cup. Maybe for sound quality, I'm not 100% sure, but you have to spend an extra almost $1,000 for the bumpers just to make it be able to be on a stand. These straight out of the box, they all have cups. They all have the adjustments for the angles, just like a real line array, anywhere from 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 degree angle. So you can get this pretty aggressively curved on a flown PA. The bumper is quite affordable. They're a lot cheaper, but they're pretty robust. I'll take them out soon and I'll show you guys. The fun about those bumpers is that they could both be used for a ground stack as well as being flown, versus going back to a comparable RCF I wanted to buy. They were two different bumpers to do two different jobs. So it's like I have to drag two bumpers. They're super expensive. Yeah, I can't say enough about these. These are extremely wonderful speakers. We've taken them out for a few gigs now, and they just never let me down. Sound quality is great. I don't have to do much to it on EQ, as well as feedback. This throws 120 degrees, and which is wider than like my ZLX, for example. And I feel like I get less feedback, microphone feedback with these ones, because they're just tuned really well out of the box. So yeah, they throw 10 degrees vertically, and then 120 horizontally. Yeah, I know my directions. If you have a chance to hear a demo, or somebody you know who owns them, or reach out to me, and if you guys want to hear these in person and you're in my area, I'd be more than happy to set them up and let you have fun with them. Try them out. Like, they're really worth it. And I mean, because they're Yorkville, they're not super popular on riders just yet, because these are still new. They're not even a year old. But they sold like hotcakes. They were out of stock when I wanted to buy these. I was lucky enough that Long & McQuaid had some. And that's the other advantage with these versus like RCF or something. I bought eight tops, so 8 boxes, so I can do 4 per side. But for bigger festivals, like on a stage line, an SL100 or whatnot, you're gonna need a lot more boxes. Now, Wall Sound bought, I believe, 24 boxes, so I can rent from them. But if they're not available, I mean, Long & McQuaid's are almost everywhere in Canada, and I could just go swap them out. Just rent them out, right? So they're a lot more available. They're Canadian made, which I'm really proud to say, which is a big green flag for me, as well as the warranty. I think it's 2 years, no questions asked. I can drop this, blow it, and they'll swap it out, no questions asked. Think about that. And they have a lot of confidence in them to be able to give that big warranty. So very proud, very happy that a Canadian company, Yorkville, came out with this product. Can't wait to really push them this summer. Very impressive, very impressive. But I'm excited, I'm very happy we did this purchase. Now we're not scared of not having enough power at some of these festivals we have coming up this summer. So yeah, I'm going to set these up, and we're gonna plug it in, and we'll listen to them. All right, so we decided to do a 5-degree down, and then these are flat. It's a little overkill for this theater. It's a pretty big theater, but I wanted to. So yeah, we did 5 degrees right here, as you can see. So it's firing a little down for the front row, and we're gonna do near field. So, and probably turn down the volume a little on these ones once we get them tuned. And then these ones are just flat. For this theater, that's just perfectly fine. If anything, a little overkill to have 4 boxes. I could have gotten away with just 2 per side, but I mean, it's a new system. I want to play with it, so we just went with it. Then we just don't have to push it as much, right? So, yeah. You know, the only thing that I would like to see Yorkville do is to have a little more universal between different series. So because the sub is the Synergy and these are the Paraline series, they're not compatible. So the bumpers don't line up with the cups that they have here. These are made for this Synergy tops or subs. So they don't line up. So we're probably just gonna put a ratchet strap to make sure this doesn't fall, just for safety precaution. But I kind of wish that they would make it a little more universal, just, you know, go from one series to the other. I mean, some people will say that's not what you're supposed to be doing. But in this case, like, these are really good subs. Why not, right? Even when I ground stack with them standing up, which is what I usually do, but because we're on the stage, it's higher, we don't need to. The PSAs are slightly too wide, or just about the same width. So it would have been nice to see the adapters on them, but obviously these have been out for quite a few years before these came out, so sure. But maybe if they do a review and, you know, a second version of these or the next double 18s in the Synergy, it'd be really nice to be able to cross set up the different series together. So that's my opinion, but I mean, it's not a big deal breaker. I could still manage with some ratchet straps, you know, and still have it nice and clean, and make it work. Right, so it's all hooked up, daisy chain. I got these cables originally tied together, but they made them a little too short, as you can see. So, and I also made these shrinks too short. I asked for 6-inch, whatever. I can fix that later on. So I have them all linked. I still have to adjust all the settings on these shortly. And strapped, powered. Now, the subs have their own power and then one power daisy chain for the tops. According to the specs, you could only do about 3 boxes for one circuit, but I mean, we're not pushing these to their limits. And so far, even when I was, one circuit was more than plenty. So that was the gig vlog we did for a dance show. Fortunately, we didn't get to record any of the dance show due to competition privacy for the client. And I could have done a sound test just before, but the client just got there and I didn't have a chance to record any of the audio. And if anything, video doesn't do justice with a iPhone microphone. Even if I had a good microphone, you know, we'd have to have an A/B comparison. So honestly, if you guys really want to hear them, I can make another video, or try to rent a kit, try it out for yourself. It really sounds really good. Again, and I can't say this enough, for the price point, you can't argue it's hard to. Anyways, we were talking about the bumper earlier in the video, and I didn't have the chance to talk about it, so we have it here today in the shop. So this is a 2-part bumper that comes separately. Well, you can buy it together, obviously, but it doesn't come with the speakers. You have to buy it separate, just like any other line array. So it's just a typical T-bar, and I'm gonna try to line it up here. All right, so it lines up with 2 pins over here, and in this configuration is for a ground stacks. We have 3 adjustable legs that you just twist for adjustability. And then over here we have the little, it's a little hard to get out, little feet to hold the back of the speaker right here, just like you would to mount it, you saw in the video, we had it at 5 degrees at the gate. And then you just put your pin in place. And then the front pins of the speakers, they come and pin on these two little holes right here. And then that holds it perfectly stable on the ground stack. Because unfortunately, this doesn't really have any cups. It kind of does, but I mean, it doesn't have rubber feet or anything. And then when you lay flat, you already have 5 degree right out of the box, and it's not as stable. So this does an amazing job for it. Now, the advantage of this one compared to the RCF, and it's no bash on RCF. I refer a lot to them because I looked into them a lot before buying this. But for a ground stack, and for flown bumper, I believe it's 2 different bumpers. I quite not remember. Or it was a separate bumper to have the pole mount, I believe. Now, for flying it, basically, it just goes in the opposite direction. So just flip it over like this. Put your pin in, like so. And now this is the opposite of a... So now you have this drop. This falls right into the connection top corners of the speakers on each side, as well as it hangs on the top part of your rigging at the back with your pin, like that. And then you attach your shackle wherever you would like to get different angles, and this is your bumper. Priced pretty reasonably, again, like I mentioned earlier in the video. It's just a nice big solid chunk of steel. This is a tubing, but a pretty thick tubing. I don't know if you can really see, but it's pretty thick tubing. And then this is just a solid bar with machine holes for your shackles. I'm not afraid of it bending or breaking anytime soon. It's nicely powder coated black. Looks really nice. The pins are really nice and comfortable. Can't say enough about this. Now, so during the vlog, I mentioned some of the features, where the power was and stuff like that, but I didn't really do a close-up and what's what. So that's what we're going to talk about today. All right, so this is the back of the PSA28. We have just push buttons over here. We have a gain. We have a little LED for clipping and signal. We have our XLRs here, as well as we have our power up here. So these are nicely spring-loaded, as you can see. So it really holds it nice and tight when I don't have anything plugged in. So if I only have power, that's covered. And then over here we have with sub buttons. So it'll do an automatic crossover at 100 hertz. So it's going to do a little more low end if you don't have a sub. Usually you run these with subs, but in certain cases you might not. High frequency boost. So that's a good feature for the top boxes. So you could throw that high end frequency further into the crowd, so you get a really good balance of sound being thrown. And then near field, those are for the bottom boxes on your kit, so that it cuts a little on the high frequencies, so that you're not blasting and hurting people's ears that are of the people that are in the front row. So again, just good balance of frequencies. And then array size, you could choose from 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, or 10 to 12 in size. And this will basically have some set EQs for each one. So if you put out 1 to 3, it has a more balanced EQ across. And then 4 to 6, up to 7, 9, and 10 to 12,
you're going to get a little less low end. So because you have twice more 8 inches pushing all that low end. So it's compensating for that and really focusing on the high frequencies a little more. And then over here, just your regular gain, 0 to 10. Usually around noon is where you want to be. And then you'll have active signal. So if this is green, blinking, or solid, that means you get signal. If it blinks or is solid orange, you're at your limit. And then if it gets red, obviously that's your clip. So far, I've never really exceeded more than just blinking on the limit and yet to clip it. And they sound really nice. Plenty of power. Obviously, I'm not comparing this to like a Myers kit or L-Acoustic, but again, I can't say this enough. For the price point, you just can't you just can't argue this. So there you have it. That's the new Yorkville PSA28s. Like I said, they came out last summer, summer 2025. We're now in May 2026. I bought these in December, November 2025. And at that point, they sold out of their first batch. And they had a new batch of more speakers in February. And within a month, they were sold out. So there's still a shortage on these speakers, and now even Long and McQuaid barely has any in stock for rentals anymore. So these are really that great. They're really selling really good. They're really well made. They're just really stepping up their game. They're really comparing to some real line arrays out there. They're really getting into that market. Obviously, there's no comparison to, again, L Acoustic, DNB, Myers, but these could be solid competitors for entry level line arrays for festivals in the 1,000, 2,000 people. Obviously with enough boxes and enough subs. I would go with the Synergies for ground stack subs, but I wish I had bought the PSA subs, the 18-inch. They could be flown, so I could throw bass down the field into the crowd a little better than a ground stack sub. And that's the sole purpose of the um, the Paraline subs that come with or in the same series. I didn't buy any just yet. Hopefully Yorkville can send me a pair to test them out, and maybe I'll make another video on those. They're pretty powerful. They're really nice, but they're smaller single 18s, and I just went for some more powerful Synergy. On that note, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for watching. And if I missed anything or you guys want another video on something on the subs or other speakers or other equipment, don't be shy. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe. It helps. And I'd love to create more content. And if you guys have any questions, don't be shy. I pretty much answer every single comment. And yeah, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, guys.